Color guard, salute your colors. Two. Color guard, left face. Forward march.
If you please remain standing, our opening prayer is by Judith Rainforth, a couple doors down from my home. And
Take over this live
and gentle, firm and forgiving, holy and human. Let us pray. Most eternal God, as Americans, we want to thank you for our country and your creation of the world. We pray with remembrance and thankfulness. Today we honor and remember those who have given their ultimate sacrifice as they lost their lives while serving in the United States of America's military. We come together to support the families of the fallen soldiers. We thank you for each person who is here this morning to do their part to commemorate and never forget the soldiers and their families who have sacrificed so much for all of us. Thank you for those serving and who have served in the military that protect this country of ours. Thank you for those men and women in our military services who were willing to give their lives and who gave their lives to fight to keep this country free. You who created us, who sustains us, who calls us to live in peace, hear our prayer this day. Hear our prayer for those who put the welfare of others ahead of their own and give us hearts as generous as theirs. Hear our prayer for those who gave their lives in the service of others and accept the gift of their sacrifice. Help those who grieve the loss of their loved ones and let your healing be the hope in all our hearts. Hear our prayer this day. In your mercy, answer us in the name of all that is holy. Amen. The peace of God be with you all.
please be seated. Thank you, Judith. Stirring words, wonderful words, so timely, so appropriate. Now we will have sung by a trio of very talented people the national anthem. Rod Arendt, Debbie Erdy, and Shelley Wilson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red there, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wow, huh? If anybody might say, or you overhear them saying, you know, there's no talent or knowledge or skills in Riverside like its owners, they're just badly informed. Just badly. We also have the opportunity to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Barrett Jackson Wolf, grandson of residents Vince and Barbara Bauer. All stand, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Derek. Yay, Derek. Barbara Bauer, who is the overseer of the organization of this event at Riverside Lakes, also has an opportunity to do some recognition.
Thank you, Jim. I think I'll stand back here if I can't see me back there. Good morning to all and welcome to Riverside Lakes. I'd like to take a moment to recognize some folks that have come together to make this event happen. Through the support and contributions from our local businesses, corporate sponsors, residents of Riverside Lakes, and the Honor and Remember organization, we are able to provide the flags that will be presented here today. Thank you to all for your kind and generous hearts. Thank you to all the volunteers that have embraced this event to make it all happen. Thank you for your dedication and hard work. Without you, this would never happen. I'd like to recognize Travis Harlow. Travis is our mayor and our fire chief, and I want to thank him for being here today and for all of your support. Thank you for bringing out the fire department, all you firefighters. Thank you to the Douglas County Sheriffs for being here. And also thank you to the Iron Indians Exarban Flatliners for leading our parade, or run. And a big thank you to the American Legion Post 58 for presenting our colors. I'd also like to recognize our local veterans. So if we have any veterans out here, would you please stand? Thank you to all for your service, and God bless you. I grew up in a military family, which meant a lot of change, uncertainties, and sacrifices. Sending Dad off to war was not easy, but nothing compares to the sacrifice of our Gold Star families have endured. It is an honor to have so many of you here today. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Just a couple of days ago, I finally received what was requested. Maybe it wasn't late. That's not the point. It's the proclamation from Governor Ricketts, which I will read. Whereas America's 6,000-mile Run for the Fallen honors 20,000 War on Terror fallen heroes by reading their names at hero markers coast to coast. And whereas this 19-state historic epic run includes Nebraska on June 5th through the 9th, from the Kansas and Nebraska state line to Omaha. And whereas the names of 286 War on Terror fallen heroes will be honored at hero marker ceremonies in Nebraska. And whereas Falls City, Nebraska City, South Omaha, and Riverside Lakes community hold a ceremony to pay tribute to each run day in Nebraska, Gold Star families will be presented personalized honor and remember flags and honor and sacrifice flags. 24 in all, I would say, by the way. Now therefore, I, Pete Ricketts, Governor of the State of Nebraska, do hereby proclaim the week of June 5th through the 9th as America's Run for the Fallen Days. In Nebraska, I do hereby urge all citizens to take due note of the observance, in witness whereof I have hereto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of Nebraska to be affixed this 5th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2018. I'd like to take some special time to recognize Gold Star family members here present. So if if you have, and that doesn't mean you need to be restricted to being a mother or a widow, okay, or a father, but maybe you had an uncle, you know, or a cousin pass in service to our country, one of those 1.3 million. So I just want to make sure we have a time for that. So who would start? Who would raise their hand? Gold Star family member. Pat Marasek. Some of these I will know and not know, so you're going to have to tell me. Pat's son Corey Marasek was killed in action in Iraq. Sergeant Corey R. Marasek. Another hand went up back here. Did I? Oh, okay. Monica. Monica Alexander, mother of Matthew Alexander, who was killed in action in Iraq on May 6th, 2007. Right? Others. Yoli, where's Yoli? Yoli. Good to see you in the shade. Yoli, we know her as Yoli. She's a member of our chapter. Robles, Marine Corporal Adrian Robles, killed in action October 20th, 22nd, 2008, Afghanistan. Other Gold Star family members. Don't want to miss anybody. Okay. Let us all just say to them these words. I'm sorry for your loss. So 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry for your loss. Let's do this way now. I'm sorry for your loss, Corey, Matthew, Adrian. I'm sorry for your loss, Corey, Matthew, and Adrian. Okay, thank you. Where's Paige? Paige, you gotta come up there, would you? Travis, you'll remember this. Where's Travis hiding? Oh, behind the pillar. So I'm meeting with Terry Coy, who is a widow of one of the Waterloo firefighters at Fire Barn. Where else would we be, right? And this young lady says, Jim? Yeah. So we used to work in the same set of office suites, hadn't seen each other for a while. Said hello, that kind of thing, and caught up just a little bit. And then I had a meeting with Travis about this whole event and how we can involve the community of Waterloo and Valley and Elkhorn as well. And so she's helping us out with that, getting us some water, I think, maybe. And said, anything else I can get you? I said, yes, get me a singer. But not just a singer, a good one. And that was on March 28th. Before the day was over, I talked to that singer named Bobby Figueroa. The next day we met. And guess where we went? We had a beer at the fire barn. Imagine that. And so I had this idea for the song, and George Lutz, the founder of Honor Remember, gave me the okay to pursue it. And here's what it would be about. So, to make this longer story short, after a few more chats, what happened with Bobby is that the song he was recording took a back seat to this one. It took a hold of him. It did. You'll know that when you hear it sung here momentarily. For the first time in public. It was recorded professionally on May 16th. It's called Fallen Heroes. And so, Paige, thank you so very, very much for hearing the request. Bobby grew up in Cleveland. There's some breakup, separation a bit in his family. And as a result, Bobby basically said, I want to go to Boys Town. He wasn't a bad kid at all, but he came to Boys Town. Got a guitar, learned to play it the first day. And he's been playing ever since. He's been writing songs ever since, okay? Recording. Bobby's credits are extensive. Just among those, he's played on stage with or opened for Tina McBride, Dierks Bentley, Clint Black, Kenny Rogers, Keith Urban, and Rascal Flatts. Fallen Heroes.
Thank you for coming out this afternoon. Voices are saying this land is broken. Say she is lost, or say can't you see? Soldiers have died for liberty and freedom. More will tomorrow to keep us still free. And left behind are the families. Gold Star we call them. Remember the call, 'cause they have been torn, a piece of them broken, to pick up what's left, to carry on, carry on. Run for the fallen, honor, remember every man. Call out the hero if it brings a tear, or smile upon your song with the fallen. From the coast, over mountains, through the plains, to Virginia, loss of a love never surrenders, burning the hearts, undying embers. I sing for the fathers, I sing for the mamas, I sing for the husbands, I sing for the wives, the children, the brothers and sisters whose lives have changed. I say, can you see? I see your face. Dear are the memories. Run for the fallen, honor, remember every man. Call out the hero if it brings a cheer, or smile upon you the long for the fallen. From the coast, over mountains, through the plains, to Virginia, loss of love never surrenders, burning the heart, undying embers. Run from the sunset to where the sun rises. Remember to honor who kept her free. Call out the hero remember them all. We must be grateful and honor them all.
Wow. I used that already, but wow. Beautiful, meaningful, and spot on. It was recorded, written specifically for America's Run for the Falls. Thank you, Bobby. And to speak my real humble pleasure to introduce somebody who's a friend. I think about him as a brother, George Lutz. George is a sincere man, very gifted, visionary, creative, and driven. If he wasn't those things, we wouldn't be here now. And he wouldn't be here with us. He created Honor Remember, and he created the run. I'd like to have him say a few words about what all this means.
Wow, that seems to be an appropriate word. I mean, ever since I drove into this neighborhood last night, I've just been saying, wow, because of the amazing amount of support that this community has shown. And I'm grateful for Barb and Jim, who have said thank you to all the people that I would never know or meet. And maybe I will meet some of you before we end. But this has been just an amazing moment, Bobby. Wow. I have heard the song, but I've never met Bobby before until this moment, and actually was able to hear the song live with all of you, and the words and the music, everything is just so dead on perfect into what this all means. Thank you, Jim, and the community of Riverside Lakes for getting it. Is the best way I can put it. To drive into the community last night, it was way into the evening, and to see the flags lit up and the yard signs, just helped me to understand that this is a community. And I know that there was a lot of education, a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation, but the result of that was a community that understands what sacrifice means. And it's more than just about the run, right? I mean, this one event across America, once in a lifetime for me, most likely, but an historic event that is going to end. But you know, the lives that were given for our country and the grieving that happens with those families, it never ends. On December 29th of 2005, 2 uniformed officers came to my door with 5 very simple words. We regret to inform you. Those 5 words changed my life, changed my family's life. It literally devastated us because no one expects to lose a child. Regardless of what manner it happens, nobody expects to lose a child. And what do you do with that? I mean, how do you process that? Because I didn't very well, and honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to live myself after that moment. It was a tough moment. And it took me 2 years to come out of a fog, and I realized that he had died for the freedoms of America. And I wanted to know how Americans showed their appreciation. What do we do as Americans? What do we say? What do we display? And after a really long internet search, I didn't find very much out there. I mean, I found a lot of things for active duty, yellow ribbons. I had yellow ribbons on trees all around my house. We have banners that say pray for our troops, support our troops, but we have very little that identifies and recognizes and appreciates those that gave their lives, and especially the families that are left behind. And so on Memorial Day of 2008, we established an organization called Honor and Remember. And you've seen the flag. That's when it was first unveiled publicly to the nation 10 years ago. This is our 10th anniversary. And it was established for the very reason that you have it out in this community, to project a statement of appreciation to all the families that stood up, raised their hand, and the families you don't even know exist, because this is a small portion of the number of families across America who have given their loved ones for our freedom. And so you have made an amazing statement of appreciation that I pray would be replicated across this nation in every community, on every flagpole, not just on Memorial Day, because Memorial Day to our families is every single day. There's not a day that they don't forget that they lost a loved one. But what they need is a reminder that the rest of our nation hasn't forgotten and that we care. And so the Honor and Remember flag, in our hopes, was to become a nationally recognized symbol, a symbol for all of our nation to make that statement. 2 weeks after we established ourselves on Memorial Day of '08, a gentleman named John Bologna, who had lost his college roommate in '05, decided that he wanted to do something to make a statement and to say thank you to the family of his roommate. So he decided he was going to run across America. He created the first Run for the Fallen. This was in 2008. It was meant to be a one-time run across America. He gathered all the names of everyone who had died in battle at that time. It was 3,800 names, and he set aside putting a trail from California to Virginia to honor every one of those 3,800. He and I became friends a couple of weeks after that, and within a few years, he went on in his life and we absorbed the organization, because what we are about is remembering. Remembering those lives, not just here and now, but every life in America that was given for the freedoms that we have. It is important that these names not be forgotten. And so now, well, 2 years ago in 2016, we thought we're coming upon the 10th anniversary of both organizations. What we need to do is to add every name who has died since then, and make sure that we do this again and send a second statement to America. But we decided to up the game a little bit. We didn't want to just run for those that died in battle. We wanted to include every single serviceman or woman who died while serving in any capacity, whether they died in battle, in training, by accident. or even any service-related death, or we even included those who died after serving if it was military-related, especially those who have died through the tragedy of post-traumatic stress. So that number, 3,800 in 08, that number became that 20,000. So working with the DoD and a lot of other organizations, we compiled the largest fallen veteran database of anyone in the country, even beyond the DoD. Because even once we gathered all those names, we even allowed those families who have suffered from those hidden wounds to add their heroes. So we've been adding constantly. We started planning in 2016, 2 years ago. And we wanted this to be the most comprehensive tribute ever conceived. So even though we planned 2 years ago, we knew there was going to be more casualties, right? Because as long as we have a fighting military, preserving the freedoms that we have, we're going to have death. That's a reality. And so 2 years ago, we had a number. What we decided to do with those 20,000 was to figure out a way to properly honor them. And by finding some commonalities. And the commonality that we set on was individual dates of death, as Jim has mentioned. So when we divided that number and broke it out by dates of death, we identified 5,000 unique dates that we have lost service members, beginning with the USS Cole, October 12, 2000, and bringing forward. But we knew 2 years ago that there was going to continue to be deaths, so we added 1,000 miles to the end, blank miles, no names. We are now, 2 years later, and 2 months away from Arlington, within 50 miles of Arlington Cemetery, which is our final destination. We have had that many casualties in the last 2 years, and we are continuing to add them, sometimes daily, but at least every week. This run, starting in Arlington Cemetery, starting in Fort Irwin, California, going through 19 states, this is our 9th state, we have run so far 2,922 miles. And every day we run an average of 50 miles. Each one of those miles or markers is an actual date of death. So if you take that number, 2,922 dates of death that we have run for in the last 63 days. It's a 121-day run. We end in Arlington on August the 5th. We are just over halfway, and yet we still have almost over 3,000 miles more to go. So it is an amazing, amazing feat. The organizational structure, I can't even begin to tell you to get to this moment and what it has taken to be here today. But this is historic. This is not going to happen again, not in the comprehensiveness that we've done it, with the entire number of heroes. It's just a small group of runners that are running across America. And to come here and to be welcomed by your group here and to have this support is energizing in so many ways, because what happens at every mile is a mini ceremony. So we've had 2,922 mini ceremonies. What happens is our runners are carrying full-size flags. They're carrying the United States flag, the state of Nebraska flag, the honor and sacrifice flag, which you've seen for our fallen police and fire, and our honor and remember flag that recognizes all of our fallen military. They're carrying those 4 flags. They're carrying a placard with the individual names on it for that date of death. And they're carrying sets of flags for each hero that are on that placard. So they will run to a marker. They'll come to attention. They'll ask if there are any families present for that marker, for that name. And then they will read that marker. This hero marker is dedicated to all military service members who gave their lives on this date. And then they will read the names. And there could be one name on that date, or there could be 50. And there has been many, many miles of multiple names. And as those names are being read, flags are being planted in the ground for each one of those heroes. Each one gets a set of flags. And then they stand back at attention, back to attention, and hand salute those names that were just honored. This happens every day, every marker, hour after hour. We run a minimum of 10 hours a day, about 6 to 7 miles an hour, and account for all of those heroes in a very short window. Yesterday we ran for 185 heroes in 52 dates of death. So you get the idea of what is happening day after day. And as Jim mentioned, it's live streamed. When we're starting tomorrow from Lewis, Iowa, and you can watch us live at runforthefallen.org anytime that you would like. Actually, all day, all the way into Arlington. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We have some more of the ceremony. I know you guys are sitting in the sun. I cannot thank you enough for your support. I will say that if you have family members anywhere in the country, please share this. One of the most important things that we are trying to do is making sure that every single fallen service member's name is read out loud. If you were a part of our end of day ceremony, the next thing we would do would be to read the names of those that we ran for on this particular day. And so since this is a rest day for us, we're not going to read the names, but we broadcast that every night. But share this with your family outside of this area, when your friends. We need a lot of support in making this happen. And we're going to go into a flag presentations. Almost, okay. I'm done, Jim.
Almost. The committee, Riverside Lakes Committee for today, wanted to give you something, George.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah.
You need some help.
Well,
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you. That's amazing. Turn that around. Thank you so much. Don't clap it. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. What did I say? Wow. Wow is the word of the day. Do I'm going to keep going?
yes,
Okay. Do we have a flag?
we do.
I'm going to take on another role here. One of the most important things we can do as an organization, and why we were established, was remembrance, right? National remembrance. The Honor and Remember flag was meant to become the national symbol of remembrance, flying all across America in thanks and appreciation to our families for their sacrifice. And very quickly, I'm going to explain the symbolism of this flag. Somebody's saying you need to go higher with it, but there you go. You probably heard this before, but the red field represents the sacrifice of blood shed for our country. It's American flag red. The white field represents the purity of that sacrifice, because each one of our men and women who enlisted goes in with a pure heart, and each one have told their families, don't worry, we've got it covered, we'll be back. The blue star, many of you probably already know, a solid blue star was hung in the windows and doors on a banner of, back in World War I this started, of those families that had relatives, family members in the fight. So there'd be 1 or 2 or 3 blue star in a window. You'd know how many relatives they had. If that star was overlaid with a gold star, it meant that that loved one was not coming home. That is where we get the term gold star families. How many of you, can be honest with you, knew what a gold star family was before today? Okay, a few of you did. Good, thank you. Now you all know. The folded flag is a reminder of the flag that was handed to the loved one at the memorial service. Eternal flames we will never forget. And the words below, we will always honor their sacrifice and remember them individually by name. And it's very simple, but very powerful in its significance. So what you are flying, those of you who are flying, I'm just going to ask this. How many of you in the community are flying or have this displayed somewhere at your home? Thank you. God bless you guys. Give them a hand, please, for making this statement. So it's more than just getting it flying on a flagpole, which is important. It's been adopted so far in 24 states have adopted this as their state symbol of remembrance. Nebraska is one of them. So very proud of that. A lot of hard work went into that. 24 states. But it's more than just getting the flag up there. It is remembering individually by name. And what I often have the pleasure of doing, and others are doing around the country, is making personal presentations. You guys get the honor of being a part of that in twofold, and I'm going to explain the other ceremony in a minute. But we have a special flag that we'd like to present to a family today.
Chuck.
And we'd like the family. I have an honor remember flag here that's hand sewn, and it's made specifically for the family. But it's folded, I just want to explain, it's folded in a triangle like this because it mirrors the American flag that was folded and handed to the family at the memorial. The American flag is reverently and respectfully folded and encased and meant to be left that way forever as a reminder of the loss. But the Honor Remember flag only mirrors us one time. Once it's unfolded, it's meant to be a celebration of life. And so I explain that to you this time so you understand this part. So back to you.
This flag is given to me in remembrance of my Uncle Frankie. I never knew him. I was a little bitty baby at the time. He was killed in off of gray hair. I had it all figured out. Yeah, there you go. Okinawa. The Japanese came up with a new secret weapon. It was called a kamikaze. And he's one of the first ships to get hit by one. He was worked down inside, and that's where the bomb exploded. That's where I lost my uncle. The only thing I can really say about it is that more than for me or even Frankie or the rest of the family is for my grandmother, who is long gone. But every Sunday, every single Sunday, we went to St. Mary's Cemetery on 36th and Q Street, and we would go and she would put flowers on the grave every time, and I even went in her brand spanking new 1948 Chevy. Give you an idea how long ago that was. I never got to meet him, but this has brought my uncle back to me as a person. because like I said, I never saw him, never met him, and now he's an entity in my life. And I thank you very much.
This Honor and Remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Seaman First Class Frankie Rubacek. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
Chuck has been a resident at Riverside Lakes as long as the oldest catfish in the fishing lake and more, I think. But how many years, Chuck?
79.
79,
Not
1979.
I can't. If you know
Anyway, I just want to mention that for folks that may not know that he's a resident, even folks that live here who are newer to that. So we're pleased as a community to present a flag to one of our own who lost a loved one.
Over the years of presenting honor and remember flags, and we've presented over 3,000 of these flags over the last 10 years. We present an average of one every single day. We have been asked to present flags to fallen police and fire over the years, and we've had to say no, because the symbolism was not directed towards that community, but more towards the military community. And we kept being asked, please let us present personalized honor and remember flags. And 2 years ago, there was the tragedy in Dallas and in Baton Rouge, where police officers were targeted specifically. And again, we got the call, and again, we had to say, it's just not appropriate. But I had to step back a minute and remember what it is that we were doing as an organization. We were remembering selfless service. And therefore, I began to think about that community that serves us at home, puts their lives on the line, and is very often forgotten. And so on the anniversary of 9/11, the 15th anniversary of 9/11, we unveiled the first flag specifically for those public servants who have given their lives in the line of duty. We call it the Honor and Sacrifice flag. And so today we have the honor of presenting this flag to several families for their sacrifice. The symbolism behind this is probably pretty easy to identify, right? We have law enforcement blue. Everyone knows that the blue line that's associated with the police. What you might know is the purple field is associated when the fire community is in mourning. They use the color purple. Again, the white field, the purity of sacrifice. In the background, we have a sheriff's badge or a marshal's badge or a badge that would be associated in that law enforcement community. We have the Maltese Cross, which we hope represents those in fire and emergency. We have the shield, the gold shield, which again represents the gold having the value of lost life. But that encompasses so much of our law enforcement. Could be FBI, it could be Homeland Security, and both fire and police as well. The folded flag, that community also folds a flag and hands it to the family in memory of their loss. Eternal flames and the words below, we will always honor their service and remember their selfless sacrifice. And so today, Pat?
Would the family of Steve Campbell please come forward? All three of the first ones were killed in the same accident, so I'm only going to read about the accident once. On July 12, 1979, there was an accident on River Road Drive south of town. Responding to the rescue call, the squad was crossing the railroad tracks at the main crossing in Waterloo, resulting in the collision with a Union Pacific eastbound train that claimed the lives of 3 fire rescue volunteers and injuring 2 others. Steve Campbell was born on June 10, 1945 to Stuart and Vance Campbell. He was raised in Waterloo, Nebraska. His father died when he was 12 years old. Steve had 2 older brothers, twins Al and Stu. Growing up in a small town, everyone knew the Campbell boys and the mischief that seemed to follow them. During his growing up years, he witnessed the school burning down and several floods in and around Waterloo. After high school, he worked for a time at Valmont Industries before going to college. During the summer months of his college years, he worked at the Nebraska Department of Roads. He graduated from Wayne State College and then was a shop teacher in Bellevue, Nebraska. After a short time of teaching, he became a self-employed electrician, starting his business Campbell Electric. Steve married his wife Mary on November 19, 1976. They were married for 2.5 years. They both enjoyed playing cards. Steve earned his single-engine airplane license and enjoyed his accomplishment of flying solo. He was an active Waterloo volunteer fireman for many years and then became a member of Waterloo Fire and Rescue when services were expanded. He was also a member of the Douglas County Fair Board. He served on the Waterloo Town Board, and he was a mayor during the flood of 1978. These 3 flags are all sponsored by One Foundation Bank, TDH Contracting, and Waterloo Fire Department to the family of Steve Campbell. He was 34 years old and died not knowing his unborn baby girl, Sarah Jane Campbell, was born August 1st, 1979. This honor and sacrifice flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of firefighter Steve Campbell. With this flag, we honor this public servant's wavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol throughout our communities, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. Of Sterling Embry, please come forward. Sterling Lynn Embry was born on September 30, 1948 in Omaha to Bill and Shirley Embry. Sterling had 2 brothers, John and Tom, and a sister, Connie Martin. Sterling was active in Boy Scouts. He attended Waterloo Public Schools and graduated in 1966. He joined the Navy right after high school, where he was put in Air Traffic Control School. He was sent to Texas, where he worked in the Air Traffic Tower when they were training pilots for Vietnam. Sterling married Shirley Ann Humes on July 31st, 1968. They both attended Waterloo schools and were in the same class. They lived in Texas and spent time in Italy when he was stationed there. Wesley Scott was born to the Embrys on November 2, 1971. After his military service was completed, they returned to Waterloo, where he was hired at Epley Airfield to be an air traffic controller. Sterling was a member of the town board and had just attended a town board meeting before the accident that night. Sterling had a beautiful tenor voice. He especially liked country western music. One time when he was at his job on Christmas Eve, they let him sing to the passengers on the plane. He sang the temperature, altitude, and wind speed. This honor and sacrifice flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of firefighter Sterling L. Embry. With this flag, we honor this public servant's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol throughout our communities, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. Will the family of Terry Major come forward, please? Terry Lee Major was born to Walter, Wally, and Dorothy Kaiser Major on July 11, 1952. He had an older sister, Connie, and younger brother, Gary. He lived and was raised in Omaha. Terry attended Adams Grade School, Nathan Hale Junior High School, and Benson High School. He grew up in the Still Meadows neighborhood and in Northwest Omaha. Terry and Terry met their senior year in high school. They dated throughout the year, graduating. Sorry, I got the date wrong there. Terry loved working on his prized possession, his 1966 red Plymouth Fury. He loved that car. Terry worked at gas stations, door companies, preparing and installing the hardware. And Terry were married on January 20, 1971. They had their first child, Michelle Lynn, in April 1973. She had her daddy wrapped around her little finger. They built their first house in Waterloo, Nebraska, and moved in April 1975. Randy Lee was born in February of 1976. Their next-door neighbor had children the same age and was a member of the Waterloo Fire Department. He invited Terry to a meeting, and Terry liked the idea of helping others and joined the department. Shortly after joining, the Waterloo area had a major flood, and the fire department was called to duty for many days, rescuing flood victims and monitoring the situation. The fire families were called on to feed victims and first responders at that station. After that, Terry was hooked. Terry would have been proud of the family they started. Michelle lives in Valley, Nebraska and has 2 children, Jacob and Miranda. Randy and his wife, Renee, currently reside in Papillion and have 3 children, Emily, Blake, and Kylie. Randy is a member of the Omaha Fire Department. This honor and sacrifice flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of firefighter Terry L. Major. With this flag, we honor this public servant's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol throughout our communities, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you. Would the family of John Henry Love please come forward? John Henry Love was born in Council Bluffs, Iowa on July 22, 1922 to John and Hazel Love. He graduated from Waterloo High School. John's wife was Jean. They were married on October 9, 1943. Jean died on October 8, 1996, one day before their 53rd wedding anniversary. They have 1 son, Charles Jerry. John served in the Coast Guard during World War II. He was very active in the Waterloo community, serving on the fire department, civil defense, town board, and was a scoutmaster. John worked at Union Pacific for 30 years. His wife Jean also served the Waterloo community by being the village clerk for many years. John retired from the fire department after 36 years. However, he continued to go to the department when a call came in. John passed away on February 20, 2000, as he was responding to a fire call. As he went to get his coat on, he suffered a heart attack. He was found by his son with his fire radio still in his hand. John was a great neighbor and he loved being involved with his community. He loved protecting everyone in Waterloo. This honor and sacrifice flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of firefighter John H. Love. With this flag, we honor this public servant's unwavering dedication and remember their selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol throughout our communities, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
John's son, Jerry, was to be here, but his medical realities made it that he couldn't. So the fire department certainly represents John and Jerry. We are now going to have the volley salute by the American Legion Post 58. You all stand, please.
Hold arms. Prepare to fire. Ready, fire. Ready, fire. Ready, fire. Order arms. Order arms.
Jeez.
We will now retire the colors.
Kids just. Right shoulder arm. Left face. Forward march. Squad halt. Left face. Color guard, salute your colors. 2. Color guard, retrieve your colors. Okay. What? Right shoulder arm. Left face. Forward march. One halt. Dismiss.
Our closing prayer will be given by Zach Kent, also a Riverside Lakes resident.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for how real you are and how close you are to the brokenhearted. I pray that you would just bring healing to the families that have lost loved ones, and that in the trials and tribulations that it would help us to become closer to you, God, and that we would not doubt you and we would trust in you and we would stand strong and firm in our beliefs that you have it all covered and that you are amazing and that we can trust in you, God. So I pray that we would keep our heads up and we would continue to press on and press into you no matter what life throws at us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Zach. Just a couple of really short closing words. There are products for sale that are so relevant. Here, there's T-shirts, honor and remember, Run for Fallen T-shirts. The song that Bobby sang is available on the CD. There's posters. The poster that has the 20,000 names on it, that's available, and other items. So if you're wishing to look, please do so. Our last thing that we're going to do today is the dedication and decorating of 2 trees that were wonderfully donated to us by Heritage Nursery in Elkhorn. They are over here, so we'll make our way over here. And the dedication is the fact that trees give life. They shed life on us. They give us shade. They provide a sense of growth, and they knit people together. They knit themselves together. The branches tie. So it's a community factor. So kids, if you want to put an ornament on an honor and sacrifice tree or an honor and remember tree, head this way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good.
I'm gonna keep this going. Okay. Hey, Laura.
Hey, Teddy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Dan's back to our 2 viewers.
Hello.
Yay.
I gotta sell some shirts, excuse me.
He's got to sell some products so that we make some money. There are 2 viewers out there. If you want to buy anything, you can go to runforthefallen.org. Keeps us going. Buy some shirts. Look at these shirts. Look at all the colors. Wow.
The white.
Some pins.
They have white.
Patches.
We're out of the yellow. I think.
You can buy
It's a
coffee.
popular color.
There was not. My niece gave me one.
We have them in
No, she did. I don't know how. Yeah. Thank you.
He looked before when I was here, babe. These are the larger ones.
Wow. Dan, what a fantastic salesman. State of the art.
Do you want a white one, babe?
Let's observe his techniques here, viewers.
They're all pretty much it.
Wow, the way he looked at that cheat sheet is simply phenomenal.
They're designed to be outdoors. They're real flags. They're not.
Nice. He's throwing in all the amenities, explaining how they're weatherproof.
Oh, she did it before. Oh yeah, you
Incredible
did that
tactic.
before. Yes, that's right. I remember now. Yellow.
Wow.
A yellow medium.
He almost slipped up, but he caught himself. Just incredible tactics here by Dan Lawrence.
These are mediums.
We do in cotton. Okay, I'll
Of the cotton.
Look at him go.
Do you have larges in the cotton?
Larges in the cotton.
Oh, up to 3 viewers now. To our new viewer, we're here watching Dan Lawrence in Nebraska. He's selling product, and he's just doing a magnificent job. I mean, his skills are off the charts.
Now you're just making me blush.
Look at him go. He's now sifting through the performance shirts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here he goes. He's dipping into the cotton shirts. I wonder if he knows those are all extra larges. Dan's ability to connect to the customer is what makes him so special. Oh, Steve W. says, Dan is back. Woohoo! That's right, Steve. Good to hear from you, and we are all happy that Dan is back.
Really gonna make me blush.
Dan does well with compliments.
Medium, we got lots of medium. Large is a very popular size.
Nice. Dan swaying the customer from what they want to something that they don't actually want. Incredible, Dan.
One moment, hold on. Sorry,
Gosh, he's dealing with a lot of customers here, but Dan never gets flustered. Look at him go. Steve, I had no idea you're coming back, but that is awesome, sir. Hopefully I will be there too. I'm leaving in a couple days for 2 weeks. Depends on how long you're back, but I'm gone from June 13th to July 1st, so hopefully we'll see you.
Well, some of them are 20 or 20.
Cut it off. Bye, viewers. We've had a lot of fun here, and Dan is still selling product. A lot of customers there, so we've had a good time here in Nebraska. Until next time, peace out.